Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast of Jackson and Kyle. And I am joined here by a man who does not have anything no team to root for here, week 16 of the playoffs, of the regular season, probably a very unfamiliar position. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm good. It was another fun week of football, and it was interesting to see. It was uh, a week of missed opportunities. I feel like
Good way to put it.
a lot of teams had opportunities to really, take advantage and make something happen, and they kind of just lost it. Pretty crazy week, though.
Yes, very fun stuff. Also, before we get too far into this show, follow us on the official On the Sideline Twitter. You can find that in the link in the description. Definitely make sure you check that out. Also, our show next week, or our preview show during the week, it's going to be on Friday instead of Wednesday. Friday at 9:00. At first, we're going to do Thursday. Then I realized that's New Year's Eve. So we're going to do it on Friday, 9:00. Make sure you stick around. But yeah, let's get into this. And what I want to do is I want to start off. Let's talk about the AFC playoff picture as a whole before we even get into the games, because I think there's just so much craziness going on. So I want to start off there. I created a graphic that can maybe help some people out. So feel free to screenshot this graphic. So I'm just going to explain it and then I'll get your thoughts. So here's how it works if you're not unaware. Basically, you want to be on this graphic closest to the bottom of the screen. The further to the bottom of the screen you are, the better chance you have of making the playoffs. All of these teams are 10-5. So if they all win, Indianapolis is out. If one of them loses, then obviously that team is out. The other four are in. And if multiple teams lose, it's whoever's closest to the top on this graphic, with the exception of if both Tennessee and Cleveland are the only two teams to lose, then Cleveland would get in because of a head-to-head tiebreaker. So that's the way it works. Again, feel free to screenshot if you need to do that. But yeah, that's how that works. I'll show it again a little bit. But yeah, so crazy. Kyle, what are just your thoughts on this in general? 5 teams all tied for those final 4 playoff spots.
Yeah, not only 5 teams, but we have a potential for 1 11-5 team not to make a playoff, and a bunch of 10-6 teams miss play. It's just a wild time. And you look at that graphic there, and it's like all 3 of those teams lost this week. All 3 of those teams had winnable games this week that put them in this position where week 17 is now their penultimate game. Just an absolute crazy time in the AFC. It's making for a great week 17. Rating should be off the charts as all these teams battle for their spots.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I just wanted to put that up there at the beginning of the show, just sort of talk about, what's going on. I spent all the work on the graphic. Want to put it at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, no, I like your graphic. You worked hard. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what I do here. All right. But yeah, we'll get into the games now. Just wanted we'll maybe bring that up at the end of the show as well. So as always, let's start talking about the Sunday night game. This was not a close game.
No, it was not.
Yeah.
It was the Packers are legit. I mean, I gave them some shit earlier in the week because I'm like, oh, they played nobody. They played 3 playoff teams going into this game. And guess what? They came out and dominated this game from the beginning. You could talk about the officiating a little bit. I know Tennessee could be a little upset with the officiating, but at the same time, you know what also doesn't help? Going down 19-0. That also doesn't help you win football games. I thought the Smiths for Green Bay did a great job of getting after Tannehill on those play action plays and disrupting him from rolling out and be able to make those throws. It felt like Tennessee had never seen snow before in their life.
Right.
And it also doesn't help when you give up 4 incompletions in the snow to Aaron Rodgers and he throws 4 touchdown passes. He's going to dominate that every time.
Yeah, I want to start off there. When I start off, Aaron Rodgers he's unbelievable. I mean, how do you do this in the snow? This is unbelievable.
Yeah, no, he was just unbelievable. Devontae Adams, once again, you could put how many guys do you think it takes to actually cover Devontae Adams? Like if he's triple covered, do you think he still gets open?
Well, not consistently. I mean, you got to double. Teams have taken him away by double teaming him before, but how many Tennessee Titans does it take to cover Devontae Adams? Clearly not enough with what they did this game.
Yeah, no kidding. And not only that, then Green Bay was also able to run the ball. Aaron Jones did a little bit. AJ Dillon did a lot. Just every phase of this Packers offense was awesome. Jones, as Mochi Studios did bring up, Jones was clearly out of bounds,
Hmm.
but you know, at the same time, the game was over at that point. There was no, even though the Titans scored. Did you feel like they were coming back at all?
A little. There was a moment when they scored at the end of the half. I thought they had a chance, but it was just Green Bay was too good. And
Yeah,
this Titans defense, obviously, not great. I think there was a lot of not great things going on. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers was fantastic. It's incredible he's able to do this in the snow. And how about AJ Dillon? Everyone
yeah.
freaked out about why draft AJ Dillon for to be a third string running back. It makes sense. I think the criticism is valid, but also good for him getting in there and having a good day.
Hey, and for a bigger back like him, this is kind of when the Green Bay Packers would need him. When it's the conditions aren't ideal, they need someone to, get some yards between the tackles. He comes out and has his best game, is his second game, sorry, over 30 yards on the season. The other one was 31 yards. So, so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he was awesome in this one. Just really tough running, and I think that was a huge thing, especially in the snow. Um, Let's flip to the other side, I guess. This is your boy. This is your guy you've died on the hill for.
Mhm.
This was probably his worst game of the year at the worst time. Talk about Tannehill in this one.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the great things about the Titans was that it seems like offensively they hadn't really had a bad day. I mean, their worst game was against Cincinnati when they only scored 20. 20 isn't terrible, but Cincinnati. They also had a game where they scored 17 against Indianapolis, but they for the most part had been consistently scoring 30 points and they had a really high floor. This was the lowest we've seen, and yeah, Tannehill wasn't good. It's hard because I don't know how many excuses to make, right? Because there was this snow game. I do think this affected them, and I do think that this is what you talked about. You were right on this about hey, playing in Green Bay is no joke. It wasn't that cold. I think it was mid 20s, so it was cold, but not like but it wasn't like one of those completely the football was a rocket game. It was really just the snow. I think was a real issue. I thought that I think it was Collinsworth who called it out that the wide receivers are being very timid with their routes, which was a really good observation by him. I do think that was a real factor. It's not an excuse. You still have to be better. You have to have more than 121 yards, and you can't throw two interceptions. But there are like there's an excuse to a certain point.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's just if you want this guy to be your guy, he's got to go out and play a little. He's got to put your team in a better position than this. I think. Um, there's just some bad decisions I thought in the interception passes that didn't help. I think the weather plays a factor, but I also think that if he wants to be the guy, he's got to play better.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this was definitely not a good day from him. I don't think that,
Yeah,
I've defended him this season. This was not good. There's no denying that. He did have that one nice run, which I thought was fun. Also, Ryan Tannehill, I feel like this is one of the things. Ryan Tannehill is a great athlete. I feel like if he was, him being white makes people not realize how good of an athlete he is, I think.
I mean, he was a wide receiver at a Division I college, Power
I
Five
know.
school.
Yeah,
Like
it's incredible.
this shouldn't be shocking.
But no one ever, people will be like, oh, yeah, and, he can run. Like, it's not like this. It's like, no, he's a great runner, too.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, he has always been a pretty good athlete at quarterback.
Hmm.
I think people, yeah, you're probably right. Just because he's a big white guy, people kind of just overlook it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's good. And Derrick Henry still somehow had 98 yards, which just doesn't feel right. I feel like he barely played. But yeah, I mean, this was not great from Tennessee. But really, this Tennessee, I mean, the Titans got off to a slow start and couldn't play the game they want to play. And I do put that on Tannehill early on. And I also think their defense it's a real issue when you can't even get stops in the snow, which sometimes that helps the offense in a weird way, especially when Rodgers is still throwing dimes. So it's kind of hard to, again, I don't know how much blame to put it. But let's just talk about the positives. Hey, the Packers are really good. They might win the NFC.
Yeah, and they got one more game against their rivals, the Bear, and so if they win that, they're the one seed. And then once again, I continue to say it, that's a huge advantage for Green Bay. It's a
Hmm.
huge advantage because Drew Brees has to go to your building to win, and I think that's a big thing. If New Orleans even gets that far, we still have to get through the playoffs. But whoever is playing in the NFC Championship, you not only are the only team to get a bye, but they have to come to Lambeau in January to play. And we just seen that that doesn't really affect Aaron Rodgers very much.
Yeah, clearly. Incredible job by Rodgers. Let's move on. How about those fraudulent Pittsburgh Steelers? Kyle, go ahead.
Well, hey, it was almost looking right once again. They struggled out of the gate. It looked like it was going to be over in a hurry, down 21-0. And we kept saying it. We're kind of waiting for the dam to break, and just some back-breaking Phillip Rivers turnovers in this one. I felt like just absolutely killer times for them to lose the football. Pittsburgh was able to get some short fields, make some plays, be able to come back in this one. And they couldn't keep Rivers on his feet, and he turned the ball over, and that's kind of just how it flipped on them. We talked about the injuries taking a toll on this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Well, the guys who are still around put in a great performance in the second half of this one. They really turned the tide, I felt like, in this, and it kind of just woke the offense up, and they got going.
Yeah, I mean, TJ Watt, we'll start with him. He's a monster. He had 2 sacks in this one. He's the kind of guy where he changes football games off that edge. And that's why they say the edge is this, second most important position in football. It's because of guys like TJ Watt who can just completely dominate like that. And and he was incredible. And I thought that the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's not like they were making these crazy adjustments either. They were just kind of patient. I thought the Colts kind of did one weird thing where on a drive, they basically just played that cover 2 zone the whole drive, and the Steelers got a touchdown. We can't deny there were some questionable pass interference calls, to say the least. I thought that Pittsburgh definitely got some breaks, but they also made the most of them. And again, turnovers are a real thing. And Phillip Rivers turned the ball over twice, but Pittsburgh didn't turn the ball over at all. And that's kind of a big way the Colts have been able to win football games, is they get these fluky plays and they end up on the right side of the turnover margin, despite Phillip Rivers being their quarterback. And this game, it was just a good job by Big Ben. I thought this is back to the early season Big Ben, where he was that game manager. He didn't panic. And when he had to take a shot, he was able to make them.
Yeah, and I felt like that was the big thing. It just felt like there was just no life on his ball. It felt like for a lot of the game, and that he was able to make a big play here and there when he really needed it. I think the one that stuck out to me is he had a big 39-yard pass, I think, during the comeback. Just things like that started clicking for the Steelers, and it's just something that hadn't happened the last couple weeks. So they really needed it, and they had to hold off Cleveland, which Cleveland didn't help itself, but this was a big win for them. I felt like going into the playoffs, get some confidence back.
Yeah, and for Indianapolis too. I mean, Rivers, he was so good in the first half. All of the people on Twitter were going crazy over Phillip Rivers over Big Ben. Big Ben ended up being the best quarterback in this one, I think.
Yeah, he was definitely the better quarterback, no doubt about it. And like we said, the turnovers don't help. And it hadn't helped Ben Roethlisberger the last couple weeks when he was turning the ball over, not managing the game, like you said. And while Phillip Rivers had been really good about it this year, this was the week that it kind of fell apart for him. And it just hurt them when they really needed it the most. I thought the Colts defense actually did a pretty good job most of the game. They had the big lead. They're up 21-0 at one point, 24-7. They get the stop on 4th down too to get the ball back, and they just couldn't put the game away. They couldn't finish it on offensive side of the ball and turn enough time there.
Yeah, and I think it all really started with that big touchdown that I think you said, where Deontay Johnson, who he every time I see a highlight of Deontay Johnson, it's incredible. I still feel like the Steelers could really use like a true number 1 guy, despite the fact that they have like 4 number 2 guys. I feel like Deontay Johnson might be the guy who ends up being that number 1. I mean, his catch to get that first touchdown of the comeback, first touchdown of the second half, and sort of start that comeback, it was such a huge play and such a great play.
Yeah, no, it really was. And he continues to show the talent sometimes. It's just, cleaning up some of the drops and some of the mistakes in his game. But he might be the most talented. You're right. He might be the most talented guy of that group, which is a really talented receiving core when they're, focusing on playing football and not TikToks, I guess. Maybe that changed everything.
I think that I love how now, because I believe he didn't do a TikTok. Now the whole media, see, this is what happens when you don't dance. because we all know dancing, that's the number one thing that affects football games.
Yes, exactly. The TikTok is ruining the sport, is what they all say now.
Yes. All right. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, Colts now. Colts are in the position where they're the last team out. They gotta win. Just disappointing game for them. Yeah, thank you for Jackson. Someone compliment Jackson's graphic real quick, please.
I'm sure all the comments. What a graphic. Incredible.
Yeah. So yeah,
Bill Belichick will be emailing me next week. What a graphic. Incredible. Make the show work so well.
5-star graphic. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, yeah, they got to get a win. So that's the big thing. We'll see what happens with the Colts now. I've been high on them all year. This was kind of disappointing to see it. Not that they lost to the Steelers, but they lost in this way.
Yeah, I agree. Man, Colts, they got to win. But if they win, they only need one of 4 teams to lose. So you're doing all right. And you play Jacksonville, but you did lose to them earlier. That week 1, Jacksonville lost, looking large now.
If they lose to Jaguars twice to miss the playoffs,
yeah,
like you deserve it at that point. So
and they'll be trying. They're locked into the first overall pick. So yeah, gotta win it. Let's move on. This one, absolute chaos. We're gonna go with a Saturday game here very early, and for a good reason. Fitzpatrick maybe made the greatest throw in NFL history.
The greatest throw.
Can we talk? He's getting held with his face mask getting held. He just yeets the ball 50 yards down the field perfectly to where a receiver can make the grab and fall out of bounds. So they get the yardage and a 15-yard on top of it, kick a game-winning field goal. I'm obviously being a bit, hyperbolic, but that was how do you do it? That was Fitz magic right there.
Yeah, that really was just an incredible game. I guess there is something I want to talk about this one too, especially because, it was such a big win for the Dolphins to put themselves, in this position where, as your graphic alluded to, they're not the first team out, which they kind of had been teetering on the outside looking in, it seemed like, and they got this win. Are we thinking about this too much? Are we overthinking this? So Josh Jacobs has that run down to the 1-yard line and decides to take the knee. He decides not to score. He gets down to the 1. And then I think Carr takes the knee there rather than trying to score the touchdown to kick the field goal with 19 seconds left. So then they're only up 2 points by that point and need the game-winning field goal. So they only need to go about 40 yards. I was just watching this and I was just like, wouldn't it make more sense to just score the touchdown? Because they have to go 75 yards then. It's, I know the math makes sense that you're killing the clock, but 75 yards is a lot more than 40 yards last time I checked.
I mean, I don't know the numbers on it, but to me, I think absolutely not. I think it was the right call, and it just didn't work out. Because so if Jacobs just scores a touchdown immediately, then Miami has about a minute. I believe it would be about a minute and a half, but maybe a minute and 40 seconds. We'll say a minute and 30 seconds, no timeouts, needing a touchdown to tie. Whereas otherwise, they had 19 seconds, no timeouts. So instead of Miami would have they wouldn't have had timeouts. But yeah, either way, no timeouts. But Miami would have had a minute and a half to score a touchdown or 19 seconds to try and get a field goal. A field goal in that situation almost never happens. Usually when these big plays happen, it's like a Minneapolis miracle or, the Miami miracle, not to bring up a sore subject. But I feel like usually, it's almost like in basketball when you're up 1. I think sometimes you're shooting free throws, sometimes miss the last free throw. I think this makes sense. I think it was the right call, and it just didn't work out.
I get it. I mean, I think the one thing I would have said is I wouldn't have probably kneeled on that play. I think I would have just ran the ball and seen what happened. Because worst case, you score a touchdown and you're up 5, or you go for 2 and you're up 6, essentially. Because then, like I said, they still have to go 75 yards, which is a heck of a lot more than the 40 yards to get into field goal range. And then the worst case, if you don't score, you can just run the clock down and kick the field goal like they did. I feel like we're overthinking this sometimes.
I don't agree because it's not just it's a 35-yard difference, but also you have to stop the clock. So you have 19 seconds. How do you get in that rate? The call we should be killing the Raiders for is why are you playing a regular cover 2 zone in that situation? And why is Damon Arnett passing off a receiver so that, oh yeah, go ahead, stay in the honey hole right over there. I'll just hang out, make sure I cover the flat when no one's in it. That's the thing we should be killing. This is to me the correct decision. It takes a very dumb defensive play call to have it not work out, and that's the call we should be killing the Raiders for, I think.
Well, I feel like every good coaching staff, then, if they're going to make a call like this, they have the next 10 plays mapped out of what they're doing, right? They should know exactly what they're doing going into the next drive, that they're not making this mistake.
Well, but I mean, they would have probably made a mistake about it. So let's just play it out differently. If the opposite happens and it's a touchdown, do we know that this is not? It's going to be a different play call for Miami? They probably do the same thing. There's a very real chance that the exact same thing happens, and now they have a minute and 20 seconds left to go 30 yards. Like, either way, if you give up a huge play call, you're probably going to lose in that moment. I think that it's the math. It's what gives you a better chance to win. And I don't know the math on it, but I'm willing to bet that you have a better chance to win if you're up 2 with 19 seconds left than if you're up 5 or 6 with a minute and a half left.
That's fair. I mean, I'm just bringing up the debate. I mean, I feel like I would have just tried to score the touchdown and not worry about it, but I get it. So, but yeah, I mean, Raiders blew their last chance, so that was that. And yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, like you said, just absolutely insane. So is he I don't know what they said after this. Is he basically the starter from here on out?
I haven't heard anything official, so maybe they have said something. I think that I don't know. Well, so we got with one debate. Let's go to another debate now. What would you do?
I mean, I guess I would start him week 17. Like, I probably would. I mean,
week 17 against the Bills, needing a win for the playoff spot. When would Fitzpatrick not come through in that situation?
Well, I feel like he's got one of two options. He'd either have 3 touchdowns or he'd have 3 picks with no scores. It's no in between for him. I mean, I don't know. I know it's like Tua is your guy. Tua is the guy you drafted, you invested in. But I mean, are you interested in winning football games? Because I don't know if the answer is that simple. I don't think it's that simple to say Tua puts us in the best position to win, because clearly, as he's been replaced multiple times, it's not true.
Yes, Lucas says that Tua is in, so I'm not sure. So if that's true, then there you go. But yeah, I think I go with Fitzpatrick too. And here's my logic behind it. You don't know. So the first thing I thought of was the Dak Prescott, Tony Romo thing from a couple years back. And I was a big fan of putting Romo back in. Dak Prescott showing a lot of potential. He's going to be great. But I thought Romo would be better that year going into the playoffs. Typically, a first playoff game, you struggle, and that team was really good. And I thought they had an opportunity. But I think I go with Fitzpatrick. I think Fitzpatrick is the guy who I feel like there is a chance he gets hot for these last 5 weeks and is able to will his team to a Super Bowl. Whereas I just feel like with Tua, I think he just has a lot to learn. I just don't think he's quite ready just yet. I think his potential is all there. I just think that he has a lot to learn.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I think, long term, obviously Tua puts you in the best position to win. If week 17 of 2020, I'm not sure Tua Tagovailoa puts you in the best position to win a football game compared to Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, and then the evidence is clearly on the field, where every time Tua starts to struggle, Fitzpatrick comes into the game and tries to bail this team out. So I get he's a rookie. You give him time. He's going to get better. I still think Tua is going to be really good. I still would have taken him first overall last year if he was healthy. But, I understand going with him. But at the same time, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick puts you in a position to win the game.
Yeah, no, I'm also a bit of a flex pronouncing Tua's last name by you.
Yeah, wait till the Clemson freshman comes into the league. You'll have a fun time with that.
Oh God, oh no. Okay, but yeah, back to this. Yeah, I mean, I do see logic in starting Tua though. It's basically let him, throw him into the fire now, see how it goes, and then hopefully next year he'll be ready. Russell Wilson, he made the playoffs his rookie year, and then the next year it was largely because of his defense and Marshawn Lynch, but he was able to also be that game manager when he was in his young stage of his career. I don't know if he does that in his second year and wins a Super Bowl if they aren't able to get it. But it's tough. Do you try and give yourself the better odds to win now or win later? It's a situation. I'll say this. I think I would go Fitzpatrick, but it's a decision I don't envy for Brian Flores.
Yeah, that's true. I would say that Ryan Fitzpatrick's better than Matt Flynn, but uh,
Well, I'm not saying that there was a decision then. I'm just saying I think
yeah,
it can help you. I'm just using that as an example of when it helped a quarterback to then win a Super Bowl.
yeah, no, without a doubt. It's a tough decision. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be a tough game there against Buffalo, but yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see how Tua can adjust.
All right, we'll move on. We spent a while on that. Also, you're
Yeah.
going to get all the Matt Flynn fans super mad at you now.
Oh man.
Let's talk about Russell Wilson. The Seahawks, their defense is good. There's two sides of the coin. I'm going to start with that one. Their defense is it's much improved. It's playing really good football now, and this is the Seahawks team that you picked to go to the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely looking the part. They were unreal in this game. So I have a hot take. I don't know if this is a hot take. I don't think there is anything more exciting in football than the 1 yard goal line stand. Because not only is it just the excitement of making the stop, it's also the anticipation of 4 straight plays of having to stop him from a yard out that just makes it unreal. First of all, as they highlighted in the broadcast, Jamal Adams makes an unreal tackle on I think it was Henderson to bring him down at the 1, set up first and goal at the 1 yard line. Then 4 straight plays of just stuffing them. They might have recovered a fumble in it too. Just unreal play from the Seahawks defense there. They were just fantastic in this one. I know Jared Goff isn't necessarily a game breaker, but at the same time, we'd been talking about, Seattle's defense has improved. Seattle's defense has improved while they were playing a bunch of scrubs. Los Angeles isn't a scrub. So they were able to go out and do it against this team. That's impressive.
Yeah, it really was. And I agree with you. I think no better celebration than on 4th down and goal when the defense gets a stop.
Yeah, all those guys go crazy. So that was really fun, though.
Every time they run towards the middle of the field. There's never been a goal line stop where they didn't take off in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's great every time. It's don't mess with a good thing. It works. Let's talk about the flip side a little bit. We got to talk about it. Jared Goff, your favorite player ever, who you've never said a bad thing about, Jared Goff. He had a not great game in this one. We have to say it.
Yeah, he was bad once again. I don't know. Like you mentioned Ryan Tannehill. I don't know how many excuses I can make. There's no excuses for this. I know his offensive line's beat up. He really hasn't been the same, I feel like, since Whitworth went out. And it's completely deteriorated this team. And, Cooper Kupp was good again, but at the same time, I just felt like there wasn't anything to stretch the field in this one. And he just wasn't making good throws when he really needed to.
Yeah. And, he had just a ugly interception. I mean, it was just not good. It was not a great game. And again, the Seahawks defense played well. And I thought Russell Wilson played better than his numbers would show. You would think that he didn't have a very good game. I think part of it was that he's going up against the Rams. But the reality is, for the Rams offense, you kind of feel like you should be able to do better against the Seahawks defense than Seattle can do against your defense. It just wasn't able to happen, which A, shows me that the Seahawks defense is improving, but B, Goff is that kind of guy where it is like you flip a coin and hope for the best.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's becoming really interesting, though. So, because we've talked about a lot of these games we've knocked out when it's come to Tannehill, Carr, Fitzpatrick, Tua, and Goff, and all these guys. If you're in the position, like just say you're a GM of an NFL team, and you're in a position where you have a guy like Goff, I know you rate some of these guys higher than ever. If you're in the position of a guy who has like a Goff, Garoppolo, Carr, Tannehill, Cousins, kind of that mid-tier quarterback, are you paying them $90 million, or are you just drafting a rookie and letting them walk? Because we've seen it now affect this team that's probably one of the most talented rosters in the NFC.
I think I'm paying some of those guys. I think Goff is the tricky one. I think that when they paid him, I understood it. I think I'm paying. I think as a whole, you can never. It's easy to say when they don't work out that you shouldn't pay them. I think again, Goff and Wentz are two guys that haven't worked out. I think I pay them because it's so hard to get a good quarterback, and it's such a crapshoot that if you have one that you think is good, I think you pay them and roll the dice that if it doesn't work out, then you're going to be having a really bad contract for a couple years.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's just it's been really tough. Like I said, this might be the most talented roster in the NFC, but they have one glaring hole. Did you see him pop his thumb back in, by the way?
No.
Oh yeah, he hit his thumb on a play and it like bent out of shape, and then he had to pop it back. I think he did it himself too.
Huh.
Um,
I like
so
that. Shows
it was
grit.
pretty
Yeah.
awful, but didn't help him throw. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's tough, but Goff is really good too at some points too. I like to not make sweeping thoughts about a player right after they have a really bad game. Like I think that like Goff was really not good in this game. He's had a couple bad games now. They lost to the Jets last week, who apparently are a juggernaut. We'll get into that in a second. But he has been on a bit of a slide. So, but at the same time, when he's good, he can be really good. Don't forget, I still think about that Monday Night Football game when he put up like 55 points or whatever. They can have their moments, but it does seem like everything has to go right for him to be good. And even then, sometimes it's not enough, which is an issue.
yeah. No, I agree. Just a tough break for them. Somehow they still haven't clinched a playoff spot,
Right.
and it's going to come down to the wire. If this team goes 9-7 again and misses the playoffs, like what do you do at this point? Like honestly,
Yeah. Well, I think you say that sucks. We'll run it back and try it again next year. Because I mean, you can't get rid of Goff. He has too big of a contract. You're stuck with him. So you're this is the situation you're in now. But yeah, if anyone is just unaware of that, the Rams play the Cardinals next week. If the Bears win and the Rams lose, they're out. Which is that would be an all-time collapse. We thought they were Super Bowl contenders. They could be out a week from tonight.
especially by losing to the Jets. Two teams could lose to the Jets and miss the playoffs basically in the next week. Just unreal.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, it's like the Rams. They have a good defense. There's a lot I like about them. I still feel like this is a team that I think there is a greater than zero chance they could end up winning the NFC as well. But it's
There's
a lot
also greater zero chance they miss the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And as I was about to say, it's a lot closer to zero than I thought it was going to be earlier. All right. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, I think we just about covered it. We did a lot on the Rams there. I thought Wilson was fine. He made the throws when he needed to. He had a nice pass to Hollister there on the touchdown too. And then an unreal pass to David Moore too on the run on a dime too. But yeah, Wilson was fine, and they did the job they needed to and clinch the division. So
Yeah, good for them. Winning not an easy division to win. They deserve some credit. Let's talk about so I guess the Jets are just like the best team in the NFL now. Okay, not really, but clearly this was a weird game. I'll let you start with this because I don't know exactly. Again, it's another one of those games. I don't know how much blame we want to put on Cleveland here. They did lose to the Jets though.
they lost to the Jets. Yeah, so if there is 23 weeks in the NFL season, do the Jets make the playoffs? Yeah.
Definitely. Adam Gase, coach of the year.
Yeah, no kidding. It'd be funny if he saves his job after all of this.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think Jets fans don't. That would just be so Jets. They lose out on Lawrence, and then also, yeah, Gase was all right. Let's keep him around. Let's see what he's got.
Give him a 3-year extension.
He fired Greg Williams, probably the best move someone has done so far this season.
Yeah, they really have. Well, this was just a complete disaster for the Browns because they're missing so many. They were missing a bunch of their receivers, and not only were they missing their receivers, they had to throw the ball 53 times to try and stay in this game. And I've continued to say that this Browns team's really good when they can stay in their state of their game plan. They stick to what they do best, which is run the football, establish that ground game, run the football some more, and then play action off of that, establishing that ground game. You know, this team should probably be a 55-45 run split or a 60-40 run pass split. And they threw the ball 53 times, and ran the ball 18 times. 3 of those were off of Baker Mayfield runs. So this was worst case scenario for them offensively, especially with missing those receivers. They put themselves in a bad spot early on, and they weren't able to recover. You give them some leeway because they're missing so many guys, but at the same time, like, this would be very Cleveland, I feel like, just to get COVID, lose so many of the guys the last 2 weeks, lose to the Jets, and miss the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, and it wasn't just the thing too is like the receivers is one thing. They were also missing several players on their offensive line, including Wyatt Teller, who's maybe been their best offensive lineman this season, which is saying something given their line. They also, missing half their linebackers. They already have a good amount of injuries on defense. So there is a lot of breaks. I also thought that the Jets got away with one. I thought there was a clear fumble for a touchdown that ended up getting called incomplete. I thought that was the wrong call. They ruled it that way. You do have to overcome the refs. Cleveland nearly was able to win. And there was so many. I feel like this game really, I gained respect for how good having just a receiving core is with all of these like close plays that Baker Mayfield was throwing that the players weren't able to make, which is like, they weren't like easy catches, but it's like, oh yeah, wide receivers make those like 19 out of 20 times.
Yeah. No, it really does. And it just hurts when, you're throwing to Jamarcus Bradley and, you're not having Jarvis Landry in that
How dare you?
situation. I'm no disrespect to
All the
Jamarcus
Jamarcus
Bradley.
Bradley stands now.
I got
Got
Jamarcus
Matt
Bradley
Flynn,
and Matt Flynn coming at me. No disrespect to Jamarcus Bradley, but you're not Jarvis Landry, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Listen, the Jets have good pieces too. Give
Yeah.
them credit.
Well,
They did all this too without going to the guy Denzel Mims, who I really like. Jamison Crowder had a great game, had the touchdown pass too. And listen, that defense has looked a lot better, like you said, since Greg Williams has been fired.
yeah, and again, it's a great matchup for the Jets where they have the good interior defensive line. And how about Braxton Berrios? Some 60 yards and a touchdown as well. Good job by him. They got some pieces. All they need is maybe a franchise changing quarterback, and they'll be set.
Yeah. Yeah. All they need is all they need is a guy like Trevor Lawrence. They'll be right there. But absolutely insane that this team's won 2 in a row.
Yeah, and back to Cleveland. So I'll show the graphic again because I like it because I worked so hard on it. So this is the situation. Basically, what it means is if they lose, they can still get in as long as the Colts or the Titans lose. If they win, they're in. So all you got to do is what I guess the one exception too would be if they lose, Tennessee loses, and also Baltimore or Miami loses. So, but really, they win, they're in. And the other thing too is they play Pittsburgh next week, who clinched the division. There's a good chance they'll rest their starters. If they do that, Cleveland just has to beat the backup Pittsburgh Steelers. They should be in. They're in good. I get why there's the panic because it's the Browns, but there's still like a 95% chance the Browns are making the playoffs. But I know that still scares Browns fans.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think, especially with the injuries they've taken on the defensive side this year, that Pittsburgh is going to rest those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll just be if they can do that. If they can't do that, then just a disappointing end of the season because this team has been really. What's that?
Then they don't deserve to make. If they lose to the Jets and lose to the Pittsburgh backups, they don't deserve to make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, no doubt. They also don't deserve to make the playoffs because then they lose 6 games. So as much as I really like this team and as much as I really think they developed throughout the year, you got to win the games when they matter most. I know they missed a ton of guys, but they got to make sure that they get it done.
Yeah, I see someone's talking in the chat. Pittsburgh's still playing for the 2 seed. I know that, but the 2 seed isn't a bye. So maybe they won't, but I think there's a good chance they won't care about the seeding that much, especially in a COVID year. Let's move on. Let's talk about from one heartbreaker to another. Oh, Arizona, what are you doing? This was tough. And I feel like a lot of people are blaming Cliff Kingsbury. I know you tweeted on the official OTS Twitter, which you can find in a link in the description below, about Cliff Kingsbury and his shortcomings. I think that we've got to put some blame on Kyler, though. Like, we can blame Cliff Kingsbury all we want. There's 2 sides to this coin. Kyler wasn't great in this one either, and I think it's fair to say that.
Yeah. No, I don't think he was very good in this one. He couldn't throw the ball downfield a whole lot. I think especially with missing guys like Bosa, as he has all year, missing guys. I think he was missing like 6 or 7 of guys who we thought would start for San Francisco this year were essentially out. Robert Saleh locked up a head coaching job, I think, with this game. He was excellent in this one. So the issue I had with Cliff Kingsbury in this one was that that last drive there with the 2-minute drill, trying to get that last score to win the game or tie the game. He essentially goes with an over the middle pass to Larry Fitzgerald. I didn't see the downfield play if there was anything there. The quick read was to Fitzgerald. They get the stoppage because of the injury, which was very lucky because that saved about 20 seconds. Immediately after that, they go back to the same play with that play over the middle. And you just had 2 minutes of stoppage because of it.
Nope. Did I lose Kyle? I'm not sure if it's me or him that's gone. Not sure what's going on. Looks like Kyle's frozen. Maybe the chat will come and pin. Might be me. Let me check. I think my internet's working. Kyle is frozen on my end. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna try and figure this out. We'll see. It looks like Kyle's frozen. I think Kyle's frozen. I'm here. So it looks like that's what's going on. All right. So no Kyle. We have me. I've been live this whole time. Good to know. Okay. So how about some questions from the chat while we try to get Kyle up and running again? How about let's do that? So anyone have any questions about, let's talk about this game. Let's talk about Niners cards. Someone post a question. All right. Kyle completely off the screen now. It's just me. Let's see. Waiting for some questions. My stream's on a bit of a delay, so that's why I'm waiting for the questions. So we'll see. I'll just talk about this game for a second. How about let's do that? Yeah, I think that really what it came down to for this one, I thought, was let's talk about the interception Kyler threw, because that was a great example of there was some pressure, and I thought Kyler did not do a great job at really. There was pressure, but it was picked up. He throws up his back foot and throws an interception. You can't have that. I also thought that the running defense was not great. You can't give up 183 yards to Jeff Wilson. That just can't happen. And how about George Kittle? George Kittle, he was on a snap count in this one. He still had 92 yards. Here's a question. Is Kyler Murray overrated? I'm going to say yes. I think he is a bit overrated. I don't think, listen, this is a lot of what sophomore quarterbacks have happen, is the fact that I think Kyler Murray is a good quarterback with a ton of potential, and people want him to live up to his potential in year 2, and he still has to make these mistakes. He's still a young guy. So his potential isn't overrated, but I do think that him today is. Did Brady get snubbed over Kyler Murray for the Pro Bowl? I don't think so. I would say that I think that Kyler still deserved it. They had similar numbers, but I thought that Kyler had more rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. I kind of would like to see them just run the ball more. Let's see. Do the Cardinals need to use D-Hop more? Kinda. I mean, for one thing, he is literally leading the league in receiving yards, so it's not like they're not using him at all. I do think that they could use him. It does feel like they're typically better when they use DeAndre Hopkins, but at the same time, I just think that part of what the Cardinals do is they're so good when they throw the ball deep. That's really where Kyler shines. Whereas, when they don't throw the ball deep, they struggle with it. They're so good at throwing the ball deep. They just need to be able to do that. And if you take that away, like San Francisco did, largely by blitzing, or when they didn't blitz, have 2 safeties deep, it was an issue. Let's see. Any more questions? Not sure what's going on with Kyle. Checking out my phone. Has not texted me or anything. I hope everything's going good in his world. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Reading some. Who do you think? Okay, we'll answer a 49ers question. Nope, got the wrong one. My bad. Oh, we might have Kyle back. All right. Are we good?
Sorry about that. Yeah.
You should be. How dare you?
What happened there?
Yes.
As everyone has noticed, I have a new background behind me because I'm at a family's location for the holidays, and the Wi-Fi died on me, and now I'm back. So I'm good.
Okay, good. So it's the one-time thing. I'm ready to stop talking about the 49ers Cardinals. Running a show by yourself, very difficult, Kyle.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
As it happened to me earlier in the season. The only thing I was saying, I don't know how much you heard of my point there.
I'd forgotten it, so say it again.
Well, just on that 2-minute drill. So the 49er guy gets injured after the first completion, and then they immediately come back to the 4-yard completion, and they don't have a second play lineup. They have to spike the ball on a second down play, and that essentially kills the drive. They had a 2nd and 6 that they have to spike, lose the play, go incomplete, I think, on the next 2 passes, and the drive ends there. So if you're gonna have that play, that's fine. But you better have a second play lined up right there, especially after that 2 minutes of stoppages from the injury. I just think stuff like that's just unacceptable. I really do. I think that you can't have mistakes like that at this point of a game and at this point of a season with your team. I just think it's an awful decision and an awful situation.
Yeah, and also 4 for 16 on third downs. Got to get better on that as well. I pretty much said everything that I had to say about this game. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, we can move on. Jeff Wilson. I don't know how San
Mhm.
Francisco keeps doing it. Kyle Shanahan's a god of running backs.
Uh,
Jeff Wilson was really good.
yes, great job, Jeff Wilson. I talked about the Cardinals. Gotta stop that a little bit. But all right, let's move on. Speaking of gotta stop it a little bit, the this was the greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneers win maybe ever. This was incredible, and we're in the playoffs for the first time since 2007. I feel awesome about it.
Yeah. Do you want to take the floor first with this one? Talk about the
Sure.
win? Yes.
Sure. I mean, this was incredible. Yes, it was the Lions. It was. And do I take too much stock into this? Not really. Like, yeah, we blew out the Lions in a really dominating way. The Lions didn't have a coaching staff. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is what we're going to do every week. This was very much a fluky game, but it was still a lot of fun. It's just to see everyone go crazy. A fun stat, Mike Evans. This has been talked a lot about among Buccaneers circles. I'm not sure how much has been talked about in national circles. Evans currently is sitting at 960 receiving yards on the season. He's 40 receiving yards away from having 1,000 for the 7th straight season since entering the league. He'd be the only player in NFL history to do that. Randy Moss, the only other guy to do 6. So when you're breaking a record by Randy Moss, that's usually pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very good. Not to mention that I think I saw during the game that he set his own single season touchdown record on what was supposed to be a down season. So,
Yeah.
pretty good on him for a down year to, set your own touchdown record. Tom Brady sets the Buccaneers touchdown record on a down season.
Mhm.
Yeah, this Bucs team still kind of stinks. Listen, I mean,
I mean, in fairness, it's the Buccaneers records. Like
yeah,
you have to
that's
fact
true.
like the most recent quarter the record that Brady broke for touchdowns was when Jameis threw for 30 interceptions. There is a bit of like it's our records.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's fair. You have to feel really good about this game, though. There's no other way around it. Despite the team you played and the circumstances, especially with Stafford getting hurt, not only did Brady only throw 5 incompletions, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, he hit Evans, Godwin, Gronkowski, Brown on touchdowns. Just beautiful throws on some of those, too. Keyshawn Vaughn, someone I shouted out in the offseason as potentially being a sleeper, looked good in this game. They ran for over 100 yards. Chase Daniels made $37 million for his career.
I know. It's
Isn't that
incredible.
wild?
What a he should be like one of those YouTubers that like makes those videos of like how I made $37 million without being able to play quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, just incredible. Like he continues to say, like, just I don't know what he does in the locker room, but apparently it's good enough to get paid. So
Yeah.
props to him. But yeah, he was pretty awful in this one. And David Blau wasn't much better. So just a complete performance. I think we said before before this game too. This is kind of where we want to see Tampa Bay thump somebody. We want to see them flex on them. Well, they definitely flexed.
Yeah, I mean, this was I think I talked about how teams don't typically play a full game for 60 minutes, and the problem with the Buccaneers is I think everyone's been saying the problem with Tampa Bay, they only play 30 minutes of football. Well, Tom Brady literally only played 30 minutes of football because they had killed him in the first half and he didn't have to show up. And then they outscored them in the second with Blaine Gabbert. When you're outscoring a team with Blaine Gabbert, things are going well.
Yeah, the Blaine train was really good in this one. So
Yes.
You got your future quarterback along with Tom Brady there. So
Right.
you got to feel good about that.
Blaine Gabbert almost in the Brett Favre zone. Our whole show would have collapsed if that happened.
Yeah, no kidding. we have no more content. Hey,
Yeah.
I have to say it every week right now. So Devin White's really good at football too, by the way.
Just especially in a situation like this, just let him blitz. Don't worry about him. Try to not have him play too much coverage. Fantastic. I like it. And the reality is too, if you can't rush the passer, you're not going to have success just against anybody, but especially against a team that has Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, and Antonio Brown.
Yeah. So where are you at with this team? Are you back in this is a Super Bowl contender? You like just like I'm ecstatic we're in the playoffs or
Yeah, it's hard because again, like I'm happy we're in the playoffs. I think it's gonna be fun. I still feel like we're a team that we need to play the right opponents to get in. I feel like this is a team that I could see us beating anybody in the playoffs. It would be hard to see us beating New Orleans. I'm going to give us a chance because I'm a Bucks fan. The reality is that's the one exception. And then I could also see us losing. Like I wouldn't be shocked if we play Washington round one and Washington beats us. Like it's just hard. They're a weird team. They're very hot and cold. They're a team that no one's really fears, but also nobody wants to go against either.
yeah, it's just, you look at the matchups and you're like, okay, who's covering this? Who's covering this? What do you do with this? And if Brady's going to play this well, no chance.
Mhm.
So it'll be fun. The NFC playoffs, I think the AFC is stronger, but I feel like the NFC is going to be a lot more compelling just watching these teams go at it because I do feel like there's 3 or 4 teams, like you said, depending on the matchups, have a legit shot at making the Super Bowl.
Yes. Also, speaking of Buccaneers records, one more I'll throw at you. So Tom Brady did not set the single season passer rating record for Tampa Bay. Who has that? Which Buccaneer do you think has the highest passer rating for a single season?
Um, is it Jameis?
It is not.
Is it Brad Johnson? Is it Chris
No,
Sims?
no. It is
Okay, who
Ryan
is it?
Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick back when he only played like 7 games.
Oh,
With
that's
the
crazy.
three straight. Yes. So that's
I can't believe
that's
I
who.
guess I should have guessed Josh Freeman too, because he actually
Yeah.
was good for
What?
a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Great for that one year. All right. Let's move on. Again, the last quarterback to make the playoffs for the Buccaneers was Jeff Garcia. That's what we're doing here.
All right. Well,
So old quarterbacks, Brad Johnson, Jeff Garcia, Tom Brady. We don't need these young guys. Get us veterans on the tail end of their career.
you think you would have learned your lesson by now, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. John Gruden was right, never drafting quarterbacks. Passing on Aaron Rodgers. What a smart decision. Let's move on. So this wasn't a great win for the Chiefs. I mean, they win by 3, so you win. This is continuing to be an issue for Kansas City, and I feel like first things first, I think they just got to get their offensive line healthy because it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue.
Yeah, and it was honestly one of the first times I felt like Mahomes looked human. He was kind of ugly in this game. He made some bad throws, I felt like. But hey, Chiefs found a way to win without their best player playing at his best. I felt like that was a big thing, but at the same time, yeah, you're right. Because we continue to say this team keeps falling asleep during games. They just looked really bad in this game. This was a game that we thought would be a shootout. Turned out being, I think we actually joked that naturally this game was going to end 17-14. And naturally it ends 17-14. We'll have to get IT checking back on that one. Yeah, and then typical Atlanta, they have something good going for them with Younghoe Koo, and he can't get it done at the end. This is just Atlanta in a nutshell. So
I'll tell you Atlanta in a nutshell. Younghoe Koo had made 27 straight field goals, meaning Younghoe Koo blew an opportunity to get his 28th 3.
oh my gosh.
I mean, incredible. How does it keep happening?
The jokes keep running themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, for Atlanta, whatever. This has just been that kind of season for you. But for Kansas City, it is an issue, and I feel like I guess the good thing for Kansas City is all of their concerning moments have come in wins, whereas all of every other team's concerning moments have come in losses. So that's kind of the thing, and also. A lot of guys didn't have great days for Kansas City. Travis Kelce's showing why he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He was the one real guy on offense that kind of carried this team.
Yeah, he was really good. Just is probably a better receiving tight end than Jimmy Graham, even at his peak.
I mean, statistically, he's much better, I think.
Yeah,
and he can block.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he at least wants to block.
Yeah.
So just incredible from him. He's been. I still think he's the most important player on that offense, minus Mahomes, because he sets up so much of what those deep threats like to do. And listen, I do think this Atlanta defense has been something this second half of the season. I think this is really something to build on, whether it's Raheem Morris or whether they move on to somebody else. This defense looks like it's a whole new group now. This defense really made some plays in this one. I was impressed with them.
Yeah, I see Moochie Studio about Kelsey. I'm so mad Kelsey broke Kittle's record, but whatever. I know Moochie's a big 49ers fan. Yeah, Kelsey record for most receiving yards in a season, still has a game to add on to it. And really, both teams were able to get consistent pressure in this game. And I think that was really the key. If I had to pinpoint one reason why it was so low scoring, was because of the pressure. And I think that, that's the good sign for Kansas City. The positives are your defense was great, and Mahomes is going to play better than this 99% of the time. But still, you would like to not have it come down to a missed Younghoe Koo field goal at the end of the game to beat the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, and the thing is that we keep saying though, we keep talking about this, but at the end of the day, guess what? They clinched the 1 seed despite all of these games where they look so unconvincing, while also looking like the best team in football. So
right, they've lost 1 game. They're doing incredible. Again, it really is nitpicking with them, but I think there's some real issues. We'll see how it works. Speaking of real issues, this was not great for Minnesota. Alvin Kamara ending up with 6 rushing touchdowns, could have maybe been 7. An incredible day for the New Orleans Saints. They clinched the division on Christmas. I mean, I think that the Vikings would do a better job if they maybe had some of their starting defensive players back in the lineup.
Yeah, you should have said Alvin Kamara got 40 points. Taysom Hill got 6. The Vikings got 33.
Right.
Or whatever it ended up being. I'm not good at math, but you know what I mean. So, the Vikings didn't look very good on defense in this one. This one felt over pretty quickly. I felt like Saints took it to them. Even though the offense put up good numbers, I did feel like the game was over pretty quickly the way the Saints were playing in this one.
Well, yeah, it was weird because the Saints got up to a pretty hot start, but Minnesota kind of tried to come back. But I feel like when the Saints just said, okay, let's run the ball out, they realized, wow, they can't stop the run whatsoever. Let's just keep doing this. And it was, I gotta say this. You gotta run the ball with Kamara there at the 1 yard line. You gotta do it. You can't give it to Hill.
I agree. He had a chance that was a chance to tie the record at 6 touchdowns. And then given what happened later in the game, he could have broken the record with 7 rushing touchdowns in a game. I don't know. I would have definitely given him the ball, at least given him the opportunity. I don't know. Especially, the worst part about this, and people are probably bickering about this, is he took him out for Taysom Hill, who's the most controversial player in all of the NFL. So just amazing.
Right. Yeah. Just, who cares? Whatever. Fine. The record doesn't mean. I did like how Kamara kind of said, like, hey, we like to spread the wealth. I don't really have too much to add to this game, to be honest. I felt Kamara was the main story. The Vikings are who we thought they were, and the Saints, they beat a not great team. They still have a shot at the 1 seed. They need some help, but they still have a shot.
You're so happy about this Vikings thing right now.
I'm not. I didn't rub it in. I said they are who we thought they were. I could have easily said who I thought they were. I chose not to.
Yeah,
I'm classy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to rub. People got way too excited when they went on a run and beat some bad teams. That's what happened. I was right, and that's it.
Yeah, and Drew Brees looked a lot better. So
did still throw 2 interceptions.
I mean, he threw 2 picks, but I thought he was a lot better in this one. He pushed the ball downfield when he needed to. It looked a lot better without Michael Thomas out there, which I think is important. So yeah, good win for the Saints. They look good. RIP to the Vikings.
We'll see. Alex disagrees. He says Brees needs to step up his game. So we'll see what he can do down the stretch. RIP to Minnesota, indeed. Let's talk some balls. Panther. This was a disaster. I feel like Washington beat themselves. This is the 3rd time this season now that Dwayne Haskins has gotten benched.
Yeah, I feel like we keep saying that Dwayne Haskins' career is over, and yet he keeps coming back. I don't know. Just ugly. He's
hey, no need for personal attacks.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, Dwayne Haskins. I mean, this is. I mean, but honestly, though, it's just like this has got to be it, though, right? He's done.
I mean, he got Wait, it's not even a question. I mean, he got benched for Taylor Henneke, who, by the way, maybe is elite. I don't know. He was great. He all of a sudden almost let him back in it. I think
Hey,
they probably win if they have Taylor Henneke starting this game. He was
Taylor
absolute
Henneke
mess.
might be the greatest Old Dominion quarterback of all time. Put some respect on the name, real quick.
Yeah, I mean, sure, he was an undrafted free agent from 5 years ago, but clearly everyone else was wrong. He is the star.
Yes, definitely the star. Yeah, I don't know. They keep, the thing is that is the part that it's now three quarterbacks who have at least looked better in the spot than he has. Not even that they're like good, but they're just better than he is. So yeah, I warned you about this one. I told you going into it. Didn't you lock this up? And
I
I
did.
told
This
you,
was yes.
yeah, I
Okay.
told
Well,
you locking
right.
this one up. They came at them. They were able to get pressure on Haskins, and then you know, the NFL did the rest of the work. Now we got an NFC East title race, Week 17.
I mean, I don't regret locking this one up. I think that there was that special teams touchdown that was a huge difference, and I just think there was a chance at the time that Alex Smith was going to play, and I didn't expect Haskins to be absolutely awful. Like I think that this Washington football team, I think they're a better team. I do think that this is not great to lose to Carolina, but I do think they're a solid team. Like, I think they'll probably win next week. I think they'll go 7-9 and make the playoffs, but they need a quarterback, and they need Alex Smith back.
Or they need Matt Stafford next year. Matt Ryan.
Well, for next year, sure, but I'm saying for this year, it's going to be hard to get Matt Stafford week 17.
Well, you never know. No, I'm just kidding.
But hey,
Yeah,
for Carolina too, I mean, this is this is a tough matchup. Their defense continues to impress me, even if it was against the worst quarterback in the existence of football. That's a bit harsh, but also accurate.
yeah, that's a little mean. He's not Nathan Peterman. Come on, man.
I don't
Hey,
know.
Curtis Samuel was Carolina's leading rusher in this. Like, I don't know. This Carolina thing, I continue to say it. Matt Rule has done a terrific job. I thought this would be the worst team in the league. And I justify it by saying you look at the talent on this team. Yeah, sure, they got a couple of wide receivers, but this does not have a lot of dudes on this team. And he's been able, the defense has gotten a lot better. It's a young defense, and the defense was probably better than anticipated with that, how young they are. But still, scrapping together 5-6 wins with this team, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I like how their defense sort of has. It's an all cornerback defense or all defensive back defense. It's interesting and it's working. So we'll see what they're able to do once they can sort of get the players they want. For Washington, hey, tough loss, but all you got to do is beat the dead in the water Eagles, and you're going to the playoffs next week. Definitely didn't think they'd be there. Let's go there. Let's go with. Are the Cowboys going to make the playoffs? Please tell me the Cowboys aren't going to make the playoffs. They
They
can't.
might. They might. After
Bro,
all of this,
yeah.
we've counted them dead in the water since the injury.
Mhm.
Randy Gregory comes alive and just dominates this game single-handedly, it seemed like. And Andy Dalton made some great throws. I thought he was really good in this one. This was his best game, I feel like, since coming on, replacing Prescott earlier in the season. Ezekiel Elliott was resuscitated, it seemed like, midweek. He had a little bit of life left in him, it seems like. And yeah, Cowboys put themselves in a position to beat the Giants and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that Dallas deserves a ton of credit. Their receiving core was just awesome. There was like so many plays where it's like it looked like there was a replay of the same one when I think it was Michael Gallup the first play and then Amari Cooper. Or no, I think it was C.D. Lamb and then it was Amari Cooper. They did almost the exact same play on this big completion. I do want to talk about like Doug Peterson. He had a really, I thought, boneheaded managerial decision when they were down 30-17. And there was a good amount of time. It was I believe late third quarter. So there was a good amount of time left. It's a 4th down and 20, and he goes for it. I get the logic of it's still 2 scores either way, but a 4th down and 20, kick the field goal. So that way it can make things easier later on. Then Jalen Hurts needs a touchdown on a 3rd down. He throws an interception that he probably wouldn't have thrown. I get that I'm kind of using results-oriented thinking, but there was just, the Eagles are very frustrating for me. They're a team that I had a lot of hopes for, and this did not work out. Hurts definitely did not have it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't a great day either from him. And he definitely got outplayed by Andy Dalton, I think.
Yeah, he definitely did. Tough break. Yeah, the fourth down call, I agree, because there's just not many plays in the playbook. for 21 yards in that sort of situation. And I don't know, like what is going to happen with Peterson after winning a Super Bowl just 3 years ago? Is he going to be out of a job? Like that just seems almost crazy to me, but it's possible. I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions about Philadelphia this offseason. Where do they go from here with this team, with some of this roster? They need to clean up some of this receiving group, which I feel like is still kind of a train wreck. And, obviously the biggest question is going to be, what are they going to do with quarterback going forward? How do they decide this?
Yeah, they're a mess. I mean, let's just be that's how I feel about them. They're a mess. And Jalen Hurts, even though we want to sit here, I feel like he didn't have a great game. He did have 2 interceptions. And again, there was a bad penalty, a bad call. I thought that resulted in a turnover as well. But Hurts had over 400 yards as well. So and how about Deshaun Jackson? I guess the one positive, I guess he's still alive and playing. He had an 81-yard touchdown, so good for him, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's a disappointing year for the Eagles. And Mike McCarthy, a guy who we thought would maybe be out of a job, he's clearly got the job. I mean, he already had the job back, but he's showed that he's earned it, I think, with, getting a few more wins with Andy Dalton. I think that's significant. And Ezekiel Elliott, 100 yards as well. Still, contract worth it.
What a deal. Jerry Jones.
Yes.
No, I mean, they're in a playoff spot. Like I said, this team, despite all the injuries, despite all the stuff that's going on with this team, despite maybe having half of a defense, they might still win the division after all this, going 7-9. They got to get it done week 17, but we'll see.
Yes. Also, I see I'm getting a report in my ear right now. We can go live to Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless, we're going to go live to him right now. All right, ready for Yes, Skip Bayless, very pumped up about the Cowboys win.
Why did I just see that?
All right. Cowboy. One last thing. If the Cowboys win the night game, Eagles, Washington football team, do the Eagles do the Eagles purposely lose out of spite?
That would be funny. Is that how? Do they hate the Cowboys fans more? Is that really like it? I mean, I don't know. Like,
I think so. I would assume so. I mean, what's Washington done in the past 20 years?
Have the worst owner in sports, I guess. I mean, that's
true. Yeah, that's the I want to like the Washington football team. Then I remember Dan Snyder. Let's just move on. Let's just get out of that. Let's talk about the NFC East for as little amount possible. Let's talk about the Bears. Are the Bears on the Bears good scale, 1 to 10? Where are they at with you right now?
Listen, the Mitch Trubisky redemption tour.
Yes,
here we go. Another stop here, taking on Saxonville. Gets another big victory, looks the part of again. His 3-year, $70 million. Last week, we just got into the little bit of the cooking stage of the 3-year, $70 million contract. Now we're going to start to see it put down on some nice college ruled paper. Some notes here. 3 years, $70 million. Mitch Trubisky, baby, it's coming. He's killing it right now. The Bears are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean. Well, let's slow down for a second because they have to beat they don't have to beat the Packers too. That's the flip side is they need a win and they would need I believe winning a Rams win is what gets them in. I was getting confused. Like, could the Rams lose and they still have a shot? But no, they need a win and or a Rams win. It's going to be tough to beat Green Bay, who's still fighting for a 1 seed. That is going to be tough. It's also, I don't think it's a guarantee that the Cardinals lose in a must-win game to a divisional rival. But you're here now, and you were able to blow out a team. Although, in fairness, this was way too close for comfort in the first half for Chicago.
Yes, it was. They stepped it up in the third quarter. That obviously changed everything. It felt like at one point, though, these early games, I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was some post-Christmas sleepiness, but I felt like every game was like a 7-6 game at the end of the first quarter, almost at halftime. And then the games kind of just opened up in the second half. I can't explain it, but I felt like every time I looked at the scores, everything was right down to the wire in the first half. And then they kind of opened up. I'll give them some leeway there, but Roquan Smith was really good in this game. The defense really stepped up. And hey, they continue to make plays. David Montgomery made plays. Mitch Trubisky made plays when he needed to. Allen Robinson just proving once again he's a top 10 receiver in the league against his former team. And have the Jaguars just rotated 4 quarterbacks like over and over again? Because I feel like every week it's a new guy again.
Yeah, the Mike Glennon thing seemed to be a clear. I think that there's some sort of Doug Marrone is almost trying to appeal to the bosses upstairs, and maybe he thinks he has a shot to keep his job. I don't know, but I mean he doesn't. I think we can say that, but maybe he feels that way because his hope is it maybe is like, hey, I'm gonna not have James Robinson. I'm gonna put in Mike Glennon, and I'm gonna try to get us to lose. And they lost. They have the number 1 overall pick. So there you go for Jacksonville.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence to Jacksonville. I don't really know how I feel about that, but that's a great piece for the Jaguars to going forward to build around a guy like that. And there's some pieces here. We continue to say it. James Robinson didn't play in this one, but he's really good, obviously. DJ Chark had a great catch in this one, which was awesome. Laviska Shenault is looking the part of a good number 2 receiver as a rookie as well. There's some pieces here that they can build around and, give Lawrence some help.
Yeah. They did. The Jets didn't intentionally tank. They just sucked. The Jaguars gutted their roster trying to get Trevor Lawrence. We'll see how it works out. But for Chicago, this has been a wild ride. It kind of reminds me a bit of, if you remember, Kansas City a few years ago. They started off 5-0, ended up losing 6 out of 7 to be 6-6, but then won out the rest of the way. Chicago, kind of an interesting thing. They could be the first team ever to have a 6-game losing streak and still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's insane that this team was able to go through these up and downs like this. I don't know. Do you feel like they make the playoffs here?
My gut still says Arizona wins. I think Arizona's going to do it.
Really? Well,
I know
who has the tiebreaker between them and Los Angeles?
So if LA loses, if Los Angeles loses, I believe I should have checked this. I believe what it is the Rams still make the playoffs if they lose. So I think
they'd be 9-7. So even if the Bears go 9-7, yeah, the Rams beat them straight up. So it doesn't.
I just think the Bears aren't going to win on Sunday. So I think that if the Bears lose, I think it's going to come down to Arizona versus the Rams, and I think that Arizona has will have more to play for if the Bears are down by a bunch. So I think that's or maybe the Rams win. I think it's going to be tough, but I just feel like I guess now that I'm thinking about it, there's a better than 50% chance the Bears make it. I just think the Cardinals are a better team.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see the Cardinals definitely more in the playoffs than the Bears. Kyler Murray, even though he didn't play well this week, is still fun. But Bears have put them. It's nice to stack wins early in the season because it puts yourself in a position to potentially make it. So here they are. It'll be interesting. So I guess one more point on this one I have is back to the Jaguar side real fast. Gardner Minshew. If I gave you, let's see here. Denver, Washington, New England, the Giants, and let's just go with those. So Denver, Washington, New England, and the Giants. Where do you want to see Gardner Minshew next year?
I actually was going to ask you about this at a certain point about the Gardner Minshew thing. It feels like to me, the Patriots. That just seems like if I'm a Patriots fan, that's something that I would want, right? Like that seems like a good opportunity of a young quarterback who has potential. That couldn't you just another 6th round pick? You have a good history of those guys.
Yeah.
What would you think about that?
I mean, I wouldn't be against it. Like, look, I don't know if Minshew is going to be the guy for any team long term. He might not be. But at least from what you've seen, the known commodity is at least solid. Like, why wouldn't you at least try that rather than spend a 6th round pick on a guy, like you said? I think it's definitely something worth investigating and giving a shot if you're a team. I think there's plenty of teams who definitely could use a guy like Minshew too. And, the worst case is you're giving whatever quarterback's in that room, you're giving them an opportunity to compete for the job with a guy like Minshew, who, at the very least, if he play, would probably be is passable for a starting quarterback and could potentially be even better as he progresses.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because Josh Rosen after his first season still got a second round pick, so it'll be interesting to see what value he goes for, or if they want to keep him. But I think they probably deal him for the draft capital. And yeah, I think Washington would make sense because they're a kind of team that they just need a competency at quarterback and sort of get a younger guy because Alex Smith is getting up there. And the Giants, they have Colt McCoy, so they don't need anything.
I forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I said, Denver is continuing to be in their interesting spot, so I feel like that's another option for a lot of these veteran quarterbacks who might be looking to relocate. So, hey, I think Minshew is going to find a job, so I don't think this is the worst case scenario for him. It could be a better job than he is at in Jacksonville right now.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's move on. So the Ravens played well. They were able to beat the Giants. I thought again, Lamar Jackson still had some. He looks like the Lamar Jackson of old. He's still having these highlight reel plays, even if this one wasn't necessarily this 40-0 game. I still thought that it was never in doubt. I mean, they were up 20-3 at the half, and even though the Giants made the score a little bit more respectable, this was all Baltimore. But there was even a fumble at the inside the red zone that could have allowed Baltimore to score more points. They're really good, and it's hard to imagine them not making the playoffs. They play Cincinnati next week. If they win, they get in.
Yeah, 250-yard rushings against this defensive line is no joke. Yeah, this team looks like the Baltimore Ravens of last year. And they look like, if you're a playoff team this year, Pittsburgh, the fact that they're going to have to take on Pittsburgh or potentially Buffalo in round one, that's just brutal for one of those teams. That's going to be a really, that's going to be a tough matchup. This team looks like we both picked this team to win the Super Bowl in the offseason. This is kind of looking like that team. So, it'll be fun to see on that one. They dominated this game. It was 20-0 early, and that was pretty much it with the way they ran the football.
Yeah, if you're Buffalo, you got to be it's got to be infuriating if you end up drawing Baltimore round one. It's like you do all this work, you finally win the division. It's like, okay, hey, great. Here's Lamar Jackson. Have fun.
Yeah, here's the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, but the thing is that it's completely in the realm of possibilities right now. Based on tiebreakers, they are the 6th seed, so they would match up with Buffalo right now, actually. I don't know who has the tiebreaker between Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Oh, no, Buffalo does. So if Buffalo wins tomorrow, then they'd play Pittsburgh round one, which would just be really great. But I would also really like to see them against Buffalo, too, so that'd be awesome.
I want to see them against Pittsburgh. There's no best rivalry in football. The third time, see if Baltimore can win, since the first time they kind of lost because they beat themselves. Second time, like half their team wasn't there because of COVID. So giving them another opportunity, and I think then that could give Pittsburgh a chance to say, "Hey, no, we are better than you. We'll beat you for a third time." Something about those two teams playing each other is just always fantastic. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, no one's going to complain about an extra Baltimore and Pittsburgh game. Like you said,
like 10 Baltimore Pittsburgh games a year.
They should just play each other 16 times.
Yeah, exactly.
And they can each play Cleveland once.
They would go 8-8 every. They're incredible. All right. Yeah. And for the Giants, it's a tough loss, but it's one you sort of expected, and they still have a shot now that Washington lost. So obviously, winning this would have been great because it would have given you you control your own destiny. But realistically, this is kind of best case scenario for this week, which is just Washington losing. Yeah.
No, it was. This team is just, we talked about this offensive line multiple times this season. This team on both sides of the ball was dominated at the line of scrimmage. The Ravens did what they want running the football. The Giants couldn't run the ball behind that offensive line, really. I know they had 4 yards of carry, but they couldn't run the football, really. And Daniel Jones, part of it is he continues to take terrible sacks, but part of it is that offensive line isn't helping him out either. So Daniel Jones, once again, not very good in this one, despite not turning the ball over. So I don't know. The Giants are in an interesting spot going forward because I think there's some really good players in this team.
Yeah, Daniel Jones probably like, hey, guys, didn't turn the ball over. And they're like, yeah, you got to play better. He's like, what? Come on. This is my thing. I thought that's all I had to do.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know. I don't know what to think about him anymore. I don't know what to think about that team.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on. Couple games left. Neither one of these have any real implications. We'll start with the Bengals Texans. I would just like to pat myself on the back for betting the over on this one. And it's always great when you bet an over and it just like completely blows out of the water. It makes you feel so smart.
Well, we already knew you were a smart guy. I mean, have we seen that playoff graphic?
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't get it. I didn't get it up in time because I'm clearly not that smart. Okay, here we go.
uh, I'm going to give myself some credit here too, because
Okay.
I've said for like the last 7 weeks that this is the worst secondary in football, and it got even worse with Roby out. The worst Allen in the NFL, Brandon Allen, just torched this team. So, I mean,
Yeah, that's
this
tough.
defense is. I continue to say this. Someone said once, I did hear once that Romeo Crennel should get the head coaching job. No, he should not. No, he should not, because this defense is just a complete train wreck. This is awful.
Mhm.
And Deshaun Watson puts in an awesome game again, and they get beat by the Bengals. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, there was, if you combine these two quarterback performances, they were just barely under 10 yards per attempt. Brandon Allen was. Deshaun Watson was 6 yards away from being over 10 yards per attempt. And it's not like they threw the ball a little bit. Brandon Allen threw the ball 37 times and had 371 yards. And, this was, I guess, Cincinnati, they've won a couple games now. I did the people that always want their team to lose at the end of the season to get a better draft pick are probably not thrilled about it for Cincinnati, but they're showing they have talent and they can improve in the future.
Yeah, no doubt. Did Zach Taylor potentially save his job with this one?
It's tough. Again, he's the kind of, it's like I feel like he's in there's three categories, right? There's the you should not get rid of them under any circumstances. There's the get rid of them no matter what. And then there's the get rid of him if you think you have somebody better. He's clearly in that camp. He's someone who, if you do give him another year, you can justify it, but you want to see what you have. And if there's a better opportunity, if Eric Bieniemy wants to coach Cincinnati, you hire Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of head coaching candidates, I feel like, but there's also a lot of jobs. So I don't know how high Cincinnati is going to be on that pecking order is the issue. And yeah, I mean, just a weird game that Cincinnati is just able to destroy this team. I feel like defensively, I just can't say enough how bad this defense is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just completely awful. David Johnson, he's alive though. Trade one.
And hey, yeah, exactly. Trade one, and maybe they can get a good defensive player with their first round pick next year.
Oh wait, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Miami will get a
Top
good
four
defensive player.
pick. They'll get a nice little Micah Parsons maybe, and with that fourth pick.
Yeah. All right. I don't know what you're talking about, but we'll move on. Let's go to the final game. Kyle, let's have you start this one. I know you have a lot to say. We're going to go on for about another hour about this one. What are your thoughts on Broncos, Chargers, the game of the century?
Game of the century.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, whatever happened the week before was figured out. Marvin Badgley was really good. Naturally, we start this one off with the kicker. Yeah, I mean, the Drew Lock thing, just complete. This probably just sewed it for me. Like, he is, like, this is not the. This is not it. Like, this is not a good defense that he got killed by.
Well, I haven't, full disclosure, I have not watched this game yet because you only have so much time to watch all the games. And I figured this is one I can watch later, talk about it after. But I did some research about the Broncos. Reddit said that this was not a horrible game from Locke. What I did see was about, I guess there's about like six or seven drops from Jerry Jeudy, who I saw a couple of those, one of them being a very bad one. That can't happen. And, you want to see him be able to catch the football. So that's obviously not great. But I didn't see, I didn't see the game. Broncos Reddit disagrees with you.
Well, I mean, if a guy's dropping the ball that much, why are you targeting him 15 times?
Well, here's the funny thing. In my research, I found out that this has been how like these weird small issues appear with these teams that like no national media ever talks about, but so there's been this big issue apparently with the Broncos that they don't like how Drew Lock never throws to Jerry Jeudy. In this game, I think it was maybe a spite thing. He wanted to keep throwing it to him so he would drop it to be like, see.
Maybe. Listen, Justin Herbert's really good. I'll say that side.
Mhm.
He's looking the part once again, and yeah, I mean that's a great thing for the Chargers because no matter what the season ends, you have that going forward with that guy.
Yeah, it was a weird score. It looks like again. Sorry for just speculating, but it looks like the Chargers probably struggled at just punching the ball in because 19 points, a lot of field goals. Which yeah, makes sense because the Money Badger coming through with 4 field goals. And want to hear the least Chargers stat ever? Chargers now 3 straight weeks have won a game because in a fashion where it came down to a last minute, or at least I believe last minute field goal. Find a way to win. That's the Chargers.
Look at that. The new Chargers.
Yeah.
LA has breathed some life into them finally. They are free. So
Mhm.
that's all they needed. Now they're going to go be 14-2 next year with a negative point differential to make up for it.
Yes, exactly. They'll have the worst offense and worst defense in the league and make the playoffs.
Yes, just to make up for everything that went against them.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, exactly. That's totally gonna happen. All right. So, Kyle, did you have time to do I did my top five. Do you have a bottom five for the week?
Of course, I have my bottom five.
Well, I'll go first. First, I'm going to go with Fitzpatrick again, or Fitzmagic. Just unbelievable throw. One of the best you'll see all year. Number 4, I'll go Moochie Studio. Moochie Studio making my top 5 for being in the chat, just doing great work. We appreciate you, Moochie Studio. Number 3, I have living in Florida. I live in Florida, and after watching that Titans Packers game, very happy. I like it's nice out. It's hoodie weather in Florida. Love winter in Florida. Number 2, I have Jacksonville, the city of Jacksonville. Why do I have Jacksonville? Because all of a sudden people are comparing, like, where should Trevor Lawrence want to play, Jacksonville or New York, which makes zero sense because for one thing, he doesn't get to choose. And for the second thing, the Jets don't play in New York. They play in New Jersey. But that's become a very big, I watch a lot of films. So I listen to a lot of just random sports radio. That's become one of those weird topics I don't get. So Jacksonville, good job putting yourself in people talking about should you live there. And number 1, I have my Bears take because it's way less embarrassing now.
Boo.
If the if the Bears, even if they lose, going 8-8 and me saying they're good, a lot better than if they went like 6-10.
Yeah, that's fair. Good list. Shout out to Mochi Studios. So yeah,
I mean, Mochi or Moochie?
I think it's Mochi.
Okay, let us know in the chat.
Excellent. We're clearly big fans.
Yes.
All right, so I guess I should move on to my bottom 5 now here, right?
Yes, bottom 5.
I was struggling with number 5. I went with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Don't really have a reason why, but I just feel like, do we really need to see Trevor Lawrence go to Jacksonville? I feel like it would have been more fun if he was in New York.
Oh God, are you gonna? Oh my God, he's not going to play for a big market. Who cares? It's football.
Florida is where people go to die. Look at Tom Brady. Look at Tua Tagovailoa. Literally, people go to die here.
What do those two have in common?
They've gone to Florida to die. No, I'm just kidding.
Also, we get a great clarification. It's Moochie. All right, there we go. Helping us out a lot. We appreciate it. Okay, so Kyle, you're dissing the state that I live in, but go ahead, continue.
And the one that I grew up in, no worries.
Yeah.
Number 4, everyone makes fun of Florida. Number 4, Cleveland. Just being Cleveland seems like it has its curse. So once again here, I'm making fun of now the state of Florida and the city of Cleveland, Ohio here early. Yeah, I hate it.
And also really just going with the, real hot take of the two places back, Cleveland and Florida. I don't think anyone's ever made fun of those two before.
Exactly. Well, listen, only Cleveland would have their first playoff appearance in how many years be derailed by COVID and losing to the Jets.
That's true.
I mean, just it seems like that's going to happen. Number 3, Dwayne Haskins probably had the worst Christmas week ever. Between getting spotted out in public at a strip club without a mask and also, playing football for a living and not being good at it. That doesn't help. Number 2, screenshots. I hate screenshots, especially when it comes to officiating. I wish that this was banned. I'm going to say this. So My
Agreed.
favorite is when we get the still frame pass interference justification call. Why is there not pass interference on the screenshot? The other one I love too that we're starting to see is the offense or the offside call on the diagonal camera angle from the TV and trying to draw our line straight with the screenshot. So I hate screenshots so much. I wish they go away. And then number one, Sean Payton. Sean Payton here losing. Alvin Kamara has a chance to tie the NFL record for rushing touchdowns. He puts in Taysom Hill, of all people, as Taysom Hill. He eventually does tie the record, but he could have broken the record. Tie for 6 touchdowns in a game, which would have tied the record from none other than the 1929 Chicago Cardinals running back, Ernie Nevers, for 6 touchdowns in a game. He does tie him. He could have broken it. And Ernie Nevers, this game was incredible here. I just want to bring this up. Ernie Nevers was responsible for 40 points, which is the NFL record for most points scored in a game, because he also kicked 4 extra points.
Okay.
So he's 6 touchdowns and 4 extra points made. Alvin Kamara, you got to do a little better than that, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get those extra points in too.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah, he didn't kick any extra points.
Yeah.
So horrible. It's great. All right. Well, always a good show when we can end it by dissing Sean Payton. Would have been a little better if you didn't diss Florida, though. Got to be honest, Kyle.
I'm sorry, man.
You should be. And I don't forgive you. All right. So that's our show. We will thank you guys for watching. If you missed at the beginning of the show, if you're watching live, next show is going to be Friday at 9. That's when we'll do our final regular season preview. That's it. Only 1 week left, Kyle.
Oh, no. Everyone's going to be so disappointed in us. I know it. But can't wait for the last week of the season. A lot of playoff races to go. And then, we're still going to be around for playoffs, though. So we still got that going for us. Yes,
we playoff. We'll have a format for how it'll work into playoffs. We'll explain that as we go. I gained another point this week, Kyle. We had a bad week. We missed 7 games, but I missed 1 less than you did.
Yeah, this was a rough week, I felt like, but I'll bounce back. I still got the playoffs to get this victory too. So we're all good here. We're all good in this camp. All right. Thank you to everyone in the chat. We appreciate it. And thank you to everyone watching after the fact. Definitely appreciate it. Again, check out the On the Sideline Twitter. The link is in the description. And as always, have a good one. Peace.